It's time. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It's 420 in California. This is Reefer Revolution Live.
But I think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state. I think it's up to the states, yeah. I'm a states person. I think it should be up to the states, absolutely. You know, I know people that are very, very sick, and for whatever reason, the marijuana really helps them.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Well, there were a lot of good people smoking marijuana at the Lowell Cafe on Friday. And we were some of them. We got our review, and lo and behold, compassionate cannabis is coming back to California as Governor Newsom signs the SB 34 in the 11th hour, literally. But he vetoes SB 305, denying cannabis for terminally ill patients. And that's no bueno. We're not happy about it. What does he cite? Conflict in federal law.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
This is the time to go all in on cannabis.
It is the time. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? DC Coachella here, coming to you from the Lowell Cafe. Just had our first time here and anniversary lunch. What do you think? Hey, what? Hey, watch this. I'm flipping around. Watch here. Here we go. Let's go get our car. Oh, well, look at this shot. More smoke, as we say in the biz. The purple haze. That looks like our house right now. There we go. 5 stars for environment, for sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. What an awesome experience. And it was indeed a pretty awesome experience. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? I'm Dave Conan. This is Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up, talk about marijuana in the mainstream media, the politics of pot, and cannabis care. And when I say we, I of course mean my life in all things, my partner in life in all things cannabis, everything. Here on my birthday and our anniversary weekend, Coach Chela.
Things. Hi, guys. Hi, baby. Happy anniversary. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It is indeed the official B day today, but we have a show to do.
Yeah, the show must go on.
The show must go on, and of course, we pretty much just hang out at home all the time. Anyway, so, hardly lately. Remember when we used to do that?
Seems like we're out all the time, doesn't it?
It does seem like we are out. It's great. It's awesome. And we often participating and going to many amazing cannabis events. Also jumping in when I say we, of course, all the awesome folks jumping in the chat. I see new folks. I see original folks. I see Ugly Adams, Debbie D, can't be far behind. I've got Cosmic Lettuce jumping in Arizona. No, Massachusetts, right? I always forget. Brian Canatel, I think, a new viewer. Blaster Master jumping in. Who else? Gerald Warren, welcome to the show. 420 Fred in there. MDM Niles is joining in over on Facebook, too. We are multi-streaming, guys, on Facebook, Twitch, DLive, And Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. It's official. We are still going out over Weed TV. I double checked right now, and we are over there going out live. So welcome, Weed TV viewers. D Live, Facebook, Periscope. I don't know, questionable right now if I'm going out on Periscope. But wherever you're joining, thanks for joining. Hit that thumbs up, lemon, food, whatever you do to like, heart.
All the things.
All the things. And put a comment in because I can see a bunch of them. And I'm monitoring through the Restream. Thank you, Restream, for always expanding your capabilities. And they go across the bottom if they come through slow enough. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining the show. This, of course, is Reefer Revolution Live. And we are sparking up with some old pal today. A favorite of the show, old pal, of course, trying to keep cannabis affordable.
We do love that
to the
about
masses.
Old Pal. And it's organic, and it's sun-grown.
It's amazing. It's ready to roll. It's ready to roll up.
Love the ready to roll.
They're really
and
good
it's good
folks.
Cannabis.
And it is really good cannabis. It is. I don't mean to parrot you. I agree.
And they are currently not sponsors. We're saying this out of the goodness of our hearts.
No, it's
it's true.
Listen, if you're going to participate in this regulated cannabis industry, it's nice to get a good deal on some good sun-grown organic cannabis.
That's right.
And Old Pal definitely fills that need. One of the other amazing things that we enjoyed this morning, which we were introduced yesterday at Lowell Cafe, from a fine fellow we met named Wolf and his wife Indigo, representing Space Coyote hash-infused pre-rolls. And we were turned on to them by them over there at Lowell Cafe. Met some amazing people, of course. Everybody like-minded over there in Lowell Cafe. But Space Coyote, we procured one of their pre-rolls, and it indeed was delicious and spacey this morning for my birthday. My birthday morning wake and bake was the Space Coyote J. So that was quite enjoyable, is it not?
Available at many dispensaries around Southern California.
Indeed it is. And you can go to, let's see, their website. Well, I have their Instagram right here, too. Since I'm talking about it, I might as well bring it up. And actually, one of the things we talked about is funny. We'll have a clip from the Snoop Dogg, Seth Rogen, little clip from it from the Howard Stern Show in the Afterburn. But here is what they had to say about Space Coyote.
Well, this is an honor to have two experts on weed, and JD, you should be flattered.
I am very honored.
I mean, if I had these guys,
I love both these guys.
JD Puppet, are you on?
Should I have the Space Coyote hash pre-roll, or is that too strong? That's probably too strong.
Hash pre-roll. Do we like?
So Wolf told us about, they mentioned Space Coyote, and they did indeed. That coming from Space Coyote Nation Instagram. Congratulations to them, and congratulations on a fine product. A ice bubble hash infused pre-roll, which often, if you know anything about pre-rolls, it's hard to find a good one. There are some good ones out there, but traditionally pre-rolls aren't the best, in my experience. And this is a really good one, Space Coyote. So that was enjoyable. And found out about that. You can get those at the Lowell Cafe. Those are on the menu, which is great. They have it's like a wine menu, a cannabis menu. Let's show some pictures here from the Reefer Rev Show Instagram. You can follow that over at Reefer Rev Show, also on Twitter and all the socials at Reefer Rev Show. And there we are in front of the bull on the wall in the greens. There's the bar.
I like that plant wall, that living plant wall.
And you can
beautifully designed, guys. It's really pretty inside.
We've got a story in the Afterburn, a little bit about it, because it is quite nice.
It's beautiful in there. To be quite frank, our experience started off a little rocky. But they made up for it, so we appreciate that. But yeah.
Well, yeah, it was. We were sort of. It was a couple of early. I would attribute it all to new restaurant blues.
Yeah,
everything
maybe.
that happened essentially. and nothing that wasn't absolutely rectified immediately.
Yeah, no,
when
they
it
definitely
became
worked to
aware of
correct
what was
it.
going on.
We were seated in this really dark. In this image, it doesn't look dark,
Yeah.
but
Well,
there's a dark hole over there.
I think we're to the left of that too. We're not in actually.
Yeah,
right
a little
there.
bit left of that.
But it was kind of like a border region, but it was nice. We enjoy. Oh, no, sorry, go back. That was from the other thing. Okay, so we got the bar, we got the seating area inside, which is, as you saw in the video, a smoky celebration of cannabis enjoyment.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty awesome, and everybody is on board, so that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it was nice sitting in a room full of people that I knew were all on board with cannabis.
Totally.
I wanted to run around and ask everybody if they were registered to vote.
We got our tray with, I'm enjoying a Two Roots cannabis-infused beverage, a 1-to-1, nice 1-to-1 beverage, which was quite tasty.
I love that you appreciate CBD now.
Oh, I totally do.
I love it.
I appreciated a little too much of it the other night. It kept me up all night. I definitely overindulged. Speaking of cannabis beverage, enjoying a nice Lagunitas Hi-Fi Hops today on my birthday. Enjoyed a little delivery today. A 10 milligram bottle of cannabis infused, and they have that's one thing I would say at Lowell's, where they should expand their cannabis infused drink options. I'd like to see a little more on that menu. But what I did enjoy my Two Roots. It was quite
I
good.
really liked my tea.
And you've had that before. Did you enjoy it the second time? Isn't that the
Have I
same
had it
one?
before?
Isn't that the same one you had that somebody gave you and you tried? Is that? I mean, that looks like the
Yeah,
same
you're
brand.
right. I think I did. But I did like it. I liked it again.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was
I
good.
liked it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got a nice pack of Lowell pre-rolls. We got a nice
The
eighth.
variety pack, it's nice. It's nice to have a variety pack.
The Lowell variety.
All the
It's
different types.
Of course, organic and sun-grown. We got we got an eighth of Chem Dog, because we don't really get good Chem Dog regularly. And was nice to try a really good. And most of their flower is grown at Lowell Farms, and they procure some other, obviously. I don't know what you would call someone that edits a menu. What do you call that? Someone who puts a menu together for cannabis. What do they call her? The flower tender? A flower
host.
Flower host, yeah. Them. Flower host. Ours was Chantal. Okay.
Ours was Chantal.
Now, they are, part of their deal is they have to vent the smoke from the patio.
I have pictures of that.
Do we? Oh, is that
Yeah.
it? Okay, well,
If
let's
you keep
so
going.
we got an eighth of Chem Dog. We got a nice pack. The grinder, got to find one of these grinders.
Oh, you like that grinder?
I mean, both. Well, the grinder's great. We need a good grinder.
I feel like
'cause
we
the plastic
want a
one is
wood
terrible.
grinder, not a metal grinder.
I don't know, but
in
that
our
grinder's
future.
nice, and that roller is. Of course, I can't.
The roller
roll
was
a
really
joint
cool.
by hand to save my life.
I have
so-
another picture of the roller.
You do. It's right there.
There you go.
Oh, I'm not showing them. Hang on, I'm showing us. Let's go back. Back. So, the grinder's nice, but the roller is magnifico. And because I can't roll joints, but boy, this thing rolls great joints. Try to find one. They don't have it on their site. They will, I guess, eventually for accessories. And there I am, enjoying the fruits of my labor of grinding and rolling in amongst like-minded people. There is the Chela in foreground of the patio area. And Two Roots.
The patio was lovely, but we got there at noon and it was way too sunny.
Brownie Mary
Ah, Brownie Mary.
on the selfie wall of the restroom. They had, of course, selfie wall in the bathroom, and there's little Tegrity Farms in there too. On the selfie wall, lots of cannabis culture in the bathrooms, where you can get your selfie on.
I loved that Brownie Mary shot, and I was really vibing the whole SB 34 thing because it's called the Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary Act. And so I'm glad that I was vibing all the good things, and I'm glad that Governor Newsom signed SB 34, which is the Dennis Perone and Brownie Mary Act.
Indeed. Before we get into that conversation, anything else you'd like to say about Lowell Cafe and
Yeah, You guys, the best vegan nachos in LA. And I was not higher than usual. When I had them, we had them immediately. They came instantly. So when we got there...
Obviously a very popular item.
It is. I'm sure it's easy to make on the line. All the things are right there. Boom, boom, boom. But, oh my gosh, you guys. The server puts in your order right from his little hand pad, and no sooner did he walk away than the nachos showed up on our table before the flower host even got there. So we enjoyed our nachos and finished all that before we got to do our flower. But oh my God, you guys, the nachos were amazing.
Which was, that was kind of one of the early snafus, as we were kind of between flower hosts, between two sections, and we sort of, I guess we were literally on a crack.
Yeah, we were in the crack.
But that was rectified. That was rectified quickly.
It was,
and we ended up with some amazing flour. Now a couple of things on the flour end. Food, great. They set us up with a dessert, which they are sort of known for, or its popular thing is their baked Alaska, which Chela did not try.
No.
Because of the marshmallow, and I didn't eat any of the marshmallow, and the brownie was a little tough. So the baked Alaska, that was the only criticism I had.
Dessert needs work.
And we didn't eat a lot of food either. I had a burrata, which was really good with the tomato. That was a very nice carpaccio tomato with burrata. The burrata was delicious. I'm a vegetarian. I'm a struggling vegan. All right. Chela, however, was quite good.
The vegan nachos were amazing.
The vegan nachos
really
were
amazing.
Delicious. So the food, I wanted to taste a little bit of the food. The food was awesome, but we were there for the cannabis, the company, the history, really, that was being made and continues to be made with this, the first of up to probably, I think they've approved 14 and maybe as many as 44 possible licenses.
I guess I didn't take a picture. I didn't post a picture of the hood.
I don't see it.
I'm so sorry.
There's no picture. Let me see if
I
might have. I might have a little video.
I have it in my phone,
hood,
but I didn't I didn't post it in the 10 pictures I was allowed.
But I know what I have. I know what I could. So here, you can see. I'll turn off the sound from our video, but I'll show you. The whole idea of the hood is to make sure that the cannabis smoke, and there's hoods over every table around the perimeter
outside,
of the patio.
In the patio.
But not over the center.
No.
Right?
No.
So smoke's going to smoke.
Smoke's going to smoke.
Smoke's going to smoke. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that's smoke coming out of the patio.
That smoke totally is smoke coming out of the patio. It's totally smoky. It totally smells great around there.
Eat, drink, and
but listen,
smoke. Yep,
if you've got
that's smoke,
cannabis
all right.
hypermesis syndrome, do not go to this restaurant.
Probably not a good idea.
Don't do it.
I think that's Mark Wasserman walking in front of us in that shot. I think that's the Pot Brother going in, I think. It looks like
really?
him. Or somebody that looks very much like him. I didn't realize it
until you played it back
until
here?
I played it back. It's like, I think that might be Mark Wasserman. We saw Cannabis. We saw, I'm sure, all of the people in the space. Everybody that activates in the cannabis space in Los Angeles will be showing up at...
You're so funny.
At Lowell's
we have
Cafe.
To go.
Listen, it was, I talked about that with Wolf from Space Coyote, about the, we were against, Prop 64 because we knew what it was going to do for patients and access, which it has done. And luckily, we're going to talk about in our news, that seems to be working its way, or at least starting to lighten up a little bit. But just to wrap up the Lowell's Cafe review, they have basically anything you could need to smoke with, from free papers and Puffcos for concentrates to $75 rental of gravity bongs.
Or a $200 hookah. So you can get call it table service. Prices are competitive to regulated cannabis. Probably maybe $10 an eighth more. Fine selection of organic cannabis, mostly from Lowell Farms, which is wonderful growers. They're excellent growers. But nice selections of other things like Space Coyote, approved by Snoop Dogg and Seth Rogen.
and approved by us at Reefer Revolution Live. Subscribe, get notifications for when we do go live from places like Lowell's Cafe. So thank you, Lowell's Cafe, and all the staff, and Chantal, and I forget our server's name. Do you remember?
No.
So they're supposed to check your
Tolerance.
level of tolerance when you go in. They're supposed to check the smoke so the neighborhood doesn't smell anything. And then they're supposed to make sure that you visually, if apparently, and just like in bars, if you're too impaired to travel. And as far as I could see, I didn't see anybody bombed.
No.
Like passed out in a corner. It was everybody was engaged and talking. There was no stumbling going on.
We met our neighbors at both sides.
So, you're also not supposed to take anything out with you as far as the cannabis. The rules are you're not supposed to leave with any cannabis. So how you're able to consume eighths with a small group, do they based on your tolerance? Are they like, okay, we told them we smoke every day, all day, and we volunteered that information initially. We didn't even wait to be asked. We said like, we're ready. We smoke all the time. What do we got?
Let's move this
show forward. We've been waiting 10 minutes to get our weed order in, and our nachos are here.
Our nachos are done.
We're going backwards here, folks. We're going backwards. And see there, the nachos were good even prior to weed consumption. So that tells us the nachos were really good. But gotta say, pretty cool experience, being able to do that in West Hollywood, right in our neighborhood in California, making history, with as soon as these 14 other places are open, the cannabis tourism that obviously was in effect. People from all over, really. I think it looked like a lot of locals, but I could see there were
It looked like
tourists.
a lot of locals.
A lot of locals.
Yeah, you know what? I think both people to our right were tourists. Both of them. Both sets of people that came and went.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you could see some of that, and they ask, hey, where are you from? It's very, it's very community. It's very,
It was great.
It was great. It
was
awesome.
great. Yeah.
I enjoyed every bit of it.
Next time I want to go a little later.
Yeah.
And sit outside.
We'll be back.
Outside
we're gonna
was really nice.
We'll
Those
go back with
nachos
another
were
party
amazing.
or something, and we'll get a hookah, or we'll make an
The
event of it.
nachos were something else.
What else was great? Oh, Valet Park, definitely. Just because you'll get a ticket in West Hollywood. It's part of
it
going
was only
in.
$5.
It's part of going into West Hollywood is getting a ticket if you park on the street.
It was
It
really
just
well
happens.
priced. The valet parking.
It was really well priced, and they were calling an Uber or a Lyft.
The Gravity Bong was outrageously priced, you guys. $75.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I could see it for a
rude.
party, but
It's rude. $75. I'm sorry.
I
it's
think
rude.
we've never really rented any other rigs at like the dab bars that we've gone to in San Francisco. So we don't have a relative.
Because I don't think it's a thing. I don't think there's stuff to rent there.
But yeah, that would be, that definitely, because we were like, oh, look, a Gravity Bong, that'd be fun to try. And then just the $75 went,
No.
maybe not today.
No.
When we come back with
Maybe
6
30.
people. Yeah, one of our friends had a group with like 5 people, and they got one. So, for the experience, listen, if you're traveling, and want to get it all in, why not? Just drop a couple $100 at Lowell Cafe. Great food, great company, great cannabis, and lots of ways to consume it. So highly recommend.
It was fun. I can't wait till there's more.
Okay, yeah.
And other choices.
It'll
be great.
Yeah, the sooner the
Let
better.
the free market go, yo.
Yeah, and hey, let's give out more licenses. Remember, there are more licenses for dispensaries in Tulsa, Oklahoma, than there are in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So,
That's not cool.
No. But what is cool is Lowell Cafe, quite enjoyable, and we'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be back.
Cool, babe.
Let's get into the news, shall we?
Let's.
Because, hey, there was some big news that was made yesterday. You can follow the breaking news all week long over on my Twitter account, which is DC420LA.
I can't stand Twitter, you guys.
I can't stand it either. I can't stand Facebook. I can't stand any of it. But wait, where is it? Oh, there we go. At DC420LA is my Twitter, and that's where I break all the cannabis news that I find while I find it. Then we put it into the Cannabis Chronicle at DC420LA.com, which is one newsletter we put out once a week on Sunday or Saturday evening, rolling into Sunday, depending. And then we talk about those stories on the show here on Reefer Revolution Live. And the big one that actually broke today, ultimately came out today. California governor signs marijuana tax fairness bill, but vetoes cannabis in hospitals.
Motherfucker.
I think this was the last thing we talked about when we closed out last week, was that the SB 34 had not been signed as promised by Governor Newsom. And we were watching it all week, as were many other organizations here in California.
We called several times.
Called the number several times. Pot Brothers of Law were on the case, trying to get people here in California to call Governor Newsom to make sure he signs SB 34, which essentially, also known as the Dennis Perone Brownie Mary Act, which I'll just read here from Tom Angel in Forbes. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Saturday. I tweeted out his list on Friday of all the bills that he signed and all the bills he vetoed. And SB 34 was definitely not on either one of those lists. I'm not sure about 305. I don't recall. But SB 34 was on neither one of those lists, and basically was going to expire today, midnight. And if it expired, we all know from our, Schoolhouse Rock, when you pocket veto, he doesn't sign it, it becomes vetoed. Governor Brown vetoed it, but this would have been a pocket veto if he didn't sign it, and he had promised to sign it as lieutenant governor to numerous people. So Saturday, literally the 11th hour, he signed several marijuana-related bills into law, including one that will let legal businesses take advantage of more tax deductions, but also vetoed another measure that would have allowed some patients to use medical cannabis in healthcare facilities. Under a section of current federal law known as 280E, marijuana growers, processors, and sellers are unable to deduct expenses from their taxes that businesses in any other sector would be able to write off. Until now, California policies simply mirrored the federal approach. But under AB 37, the tax code will depart from Internal Revenue Service. That's one of them. So they get to write their taxes off in the state of California, cannabis businesses. Now, the one we're talking about. Newsom, who campaigned on the state's successful marijuana legalization measure that voters approved in 2016, also signed, barely, SB 34, which allows businesses to provide free medical cannabis to low-income patients and exempts those products from state taxes. Finally, two administrations, the Congress or the houses of California overwhelmingly passed this bill, and it barely gets signed. Finally, thank you, Governor Newsom.
He had to be shamed into it. Let's just be clear.
That apparently is the case. It was, we think, not necessarily us, but I'm hoping we contributed with our phone calls and our tweets. And but there were many organizations that were trying to get this passed, that have trying to get cannabis to veterans suffering from PTSD, cancer patients, homeless, anybody. Because basically what happened with Prop 64, enjoyed Lowell Cafe, but what happened with Prop 64 is that nonprofit cannabis was eliminated from the state of California. We had a nonprofit model, and we had a for-profit model locally in some areas. And the nonprofit model, which was promised to be studied and to have a report under Prop 64, and we were supposed to have a report within a year on the nonprofit model. They've delayed it. Now it's been past the delayed date, I'm pretty sure. So no talk about nonprofits in California cannabis. And now under two governors, it's been delayed to allow businesses who have and want to support organizations and donate cannabis to these organizations like Weed for Warriors and others. But according to Prop 64, you had to pay the taxes. There is no way to not pay taxes under the new cannabis legalization in California. Now there is. Signed into law by the governor, SB 34, as promised, at the 11th hour, signs the bill into law. Kudos for actually signing it. Now, that's state tax. And I don't think it's all of the state tax. I think it's a portion of it. I don't think it's the full 15%.
Really?
We'll have to look into it, exactly what it is. But I'm sure we'll get some details as this is coming out in the next week, because this just happened right before it expired. But if it gives a full benefit of the 15% as a donation, if you can save that 15% state tax when the companies donate, that's great. And then you avoid the local taxes, I would assume, too, because you're not selling them in the localities. So you're avoiding the local taxation. So hopefully this will be a non-profit way for a way for non-profit organizations to get cannabis to veterans and others in need without having to pay the outrageous state tax. So good news on that end. Now, bad news.
Yeah.
We were talking about SB 305. Chela, what was SB 305? Remind us.
That would allow people in hospice, which already was a concession. The original bill had designed anybody in any facility could use cannabis medicine, but then they changed it to anybody in hospice, meaning anybody who's dying. Usually they only put people in hospice who are within 6 months of dying. So if you're dying, you can have medical cannabis, no matter what facility you're in, a hospital, a nursing home. But SB 305, although unanimously passed by the Senate, was vetoed by the governor because he said he reluctantly vetoed it.
Begrudgingly
vetoed it.
From the same Forbes article, but Newsom begrudgingly vetoed legislation SB 305 that would have required certain healthcare facilities to allow terminally ill patients to use medical cannabis on site. This bill, quote, would create significant conflicts between federal and state laws that cannot be taken lightly, unquote. The governor wrote in a veto message that suggests facilities would be at risk of losing Medicare and Medicaid funds if they allow the use of federally illegal cannabis. It is inconceivable that the federal government continues to regard cannabis as having no medicinal value. That's not Newsom.
If he had signed it, I feel like it would have sent a message to the federal government that it truly is inconceivable. As it is that he vetoed it is just a bullshit move, I think.
So it's inconceivable, but he begrudgingly vetoed.
Bullshit. He should have fucking signed it.
And it's a ludicrous stance. Ludicrous, also in there. It puts patients and those who care for them in an unconscionable position.
Yeah.
So a lot of big words.
You're making us all criminals.
You're making us, yes, exactly. So a push from California to deschedule on a federal level so that the states guy, he's a states, very much into the states, Donald. So the states can decide to allow terminally ill patients in legal California access to, and hey, if you want to know how that works, go over to edcan.tv, our sister station, and you can find the playlist on our channel and watch the amazing talk on cannabis use in hospice. And you'll find out a little bit about how awesome it is, actually, for hospice. Because who doesn't want a little euphoria when you're headed out, quite frankly? As well as all the other things that it does. So we have sort of a bittersweet victory in a big one, a real big one, SB 34 being signed into law, state of California, now giving a tax break to organizations, amazing organizations like Weed for Warriors, providing cannabis to veterans and others who can't pay it, can't grow it, can't pay for it, and companies want to give it to it, but Jerry Brown said it wasn't within the spirit of Prop 64, the tax and regulate scheme, which is the spirit of Prop 64.
Well, really Newsom had to sign this because he ran on it.
He did. And
I'm pretty sure that there's video on it. And if he hadn't signed it, I'm pretty sure Monday would have been really bad for him.
I'm confident there's video of it.
Yeah.
There's a video. It's a video age.
I'm just saying.
There's been a lot of lobbying.
Monday would have been bad for him. And so now Monday won't be so bad for him. I'm still going to call Monday and tell him what a jerk he is for not signing 305. And not standing up to the feds.
Yeah, I definitely think he could have really shown his leadership for what he says he believes in this industry and this medicine. And what's going to happen? He's going to get a bad tweet.
305 was not forcing them to use it. It would have allowed them to use it.
Right.
And individual hospitals and facilities could have chosen to just not use it. With a wink and a nod, he could have made a political statement to stand up against the draconian bullshit that is the Schedule 1. But he didn't.
It takes courage, and
he doesn't have any.
And even with the vast amount of states have legalized, will legalized in 2020, it's going to be on every ballot. It's going to be on every ballot in the country. It's something, some cannabis initiative, or it'll be picked. If there's no initiatives, it's being taken up by legislatures, like in Pennsylvania, being called for that. So we're going to see more states medicinally, probably upwards of 40 states by the time 2020 is done with medicinal, and of course the recreational pop a couple more for sure. So feds are going to have to make some move. Of course, getting into other news outside of that good news of California, up on the Hill, or up rather in the national news, some candidates, and we'll see in the afterburn video of some of the candidates talking about cannabis and their very special ways. But Tulsi Gabbard this week coming out, Marijuana Moment, clarifying their story, video story on it, or rather updating it, that Tulsi Gabbard says country should move to decriminalize drugs like cocaine and heroin, but not the trafficking end, just the use end. Which, I guess that's a move, because we're still locking people up for pot. even more than we were before. I mean, it's gone up, as the reports come out from the FBI. We're still locking people in. Here we are legalizing states. Let's not do it federally. We don't need to do it federally. The states are doing it. Here we are legalizing in all these states, and cannabis arrests are up federally. So sure, I think it's a great idea. Let's decriminalize. Stop arresting people for, especially, I think this is going to have some play, especially with regards to fentanyl and the use of these other really amazingly bad stuff that's being used, and it's got to be treated like a medical problem. And we got to get, if anything, we got to get the fentanyl off the frickin' streets. These pharma companies and families really need to be taken over the coals. But hey, this fentanyl thing is what is this? It's similar to what's going on with the vaping crisis in some respects, because here we have a lot of stories, of course, about that this week as the numbers go up in that crisis, which is not. We're not denying it's a crisis, but many people are taking advantage of a crisis, as they often do. 250
people died of alcohol today.
1,300. That's right. Of 1,300 from tobacco-related deaths today. But so we're up to 25. And of course, advocates, social media, a good story over there in Benzinga. What cannabis advocates and activists are saying about the vaping crisis. Javier Haas also writing into the story over there about what's going on. Rolling Stone, good story. talking about the multi-pronged aspect of this crisis. Another theory came out with regards to the possible source behind this issue. One, of course, they did determine that in 17 cases, lipid pneumonia was not probably the case, couldn't be found. The vitamin E oil situation would be connected to lipid pneumonia, we would think, and that it's chemical related. And that is, we've got these dilutants and thickeners that have been used and added in the unregulated market. And one of the things that also goes on in the unregulated market is right down here in downtown LA, in the toy district. You can pick up your unregulated, made outside of the United States carts ready for filling for your unregulated THC carts, whether it's a legal company with a side business or because that's been in the news as well. Although the one that did get pinched, if you will, says that no, this isn't really. We're not sending this anywhere. This is just old inventory. There's nothing there. But all these guys are transitioning from one market to another, so there's going to be some overlap. I'm just saying, and just saying, give them a license. They've still got shit. So it's like. And they should just be giving out more licenses, and that would be certainly one of the ways to solve this problem, or at least help end this crisis. But the theory now is, or one of the possible theories is the cheap. One of the things is the cheap carts, not necessarily the battery, but the unit itself and the electronic solder, the silver solder that's being used. Cheap silver solder has cadmium, and cadmium poisoning of breathing it in from fumes from hot metal causes the exact same symptoms. So the theory is that the cheap silver solder that's used to connect parts in these cheap carts could be the culprit causing these chemical burns in the lungs and these symptoms very similar to metal fume inhalation, specifically cadmium. So another possible culprit in this, I still say look at Honeycutt. I got my money on this dilutant that nobody wants to sell anymore downtown.
Chemical burns,
and it's some kind of a chemical burn that's happening, and because all the other stuff, the MCT oil, the PG, the VG, and even vitamin E oil has been used for a long time, not to necessarily benefit. There's been controversy about using it. MCT oil for sure. Vitamin E oil I hadn't really heard of, but upon further investigation, it is something that's been around. And this is acute. This is something that happened very, very recently. These deaths and poisonings, if you want to call them poisonings, call them poisonings. Something laced in this dilutant. I don't know. But it continues. But also, yes, people keep dying from those other toxic substances. So
that's why Mitch McConnell should do more than the Safe Banking Act. Screw that noise.
Oh, but Chela, the banks want their money.
They can have their money if they just take it off the Schedule 1. And they don't need the Safe Banking Act.
Solves the problem.
Done.
Essentially, I would think, if it's not a Schedule 1. But if they just reschedule it, it might be an issue. But if they just deschedule completely, anybody can do anything, till they come up with rules. I mean, think about it. What does if say 45 brought out his pen and did one of those show and tells in the office and scribbled on an executive order descheduling candabis?
You mean he would copy Bernie's idea?
He would copy Bernie's idea and take the issue away from every candidate. Democrat on the Democratic side, and basically eliminate, let's say 90% of the drug war.
Yeah, they do.
In doing so,
really focus on cannabis, don't they?
And talk about the establishment losing their mind over doing that. Everybody would lose. Tucker Carlson would lose his mind. Ingram would lose her mind, even on his side. And then all of the the drug warriors of the Democratic Party would lose their minds.
Oh,
Ron Paul would be
amazing.
going, yeah. And we'd be going, nah, nice move. We can support that.
Good job.
We can support that. And then look at the chaos that it would reign in all the other federal agencies. It would be like trying to catch up the FDA, and then
it'd be amazing.
and then the Department of Agriculture would have to get involved, and everybody, it'd be like, oh my God, it's descheduled. Now what? Now what do we do?
If he really wanted to distract, if he had something wild going on that he wanted to distract from, that would be something that would definitely distract from it, wouldn't it?
I don't want to. We don't. Nobody. I'm sure he's not watching our show, but we do appreciate the 28 of you that are. But don't tell anybody about this show. No, it's really it's good because of the very small group of people that we are in here and we talk to, and us.
I'm very shy.
But because we do have fun in here, but it's politics is politics, and this is one of the number one issues for 2020. It's like I say, it's going to be on every ballot in every state.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a cannabis initiative, whether medical or recreational or CBD or hemp. Legislatures are going to pass hemp, and that's what. So talking about McConnell over in the Chronicle, we've got a couple of stories about Marijuana Mitch visiting.
Y'all should send him a nice note.
Visiting a couple of cannabis businesses. Well, one at least, which we don't know. A Southern California cannabis business. We don't know which one.
I'm dying to know.
It's not Tom Angel doesn't let
I'm
on
sure there's
in
people
here.
that we know who know. I'm going to try to find out.
It doesn't seem like he's changed his tune much from what it was, what is originally, which is, hemp has an illicit cousin, and I don't like it. No, I'm still not a fan of the illicit cousin. He's not all in like Boehner. But he is all in on hemp, and he's probably all in on playing both sides of the field in getting the money from the corporate cannabis businesses, companies, and all the states that are doing it, and still lock people up on a federal level by keeping it scheduled on the schedule and a number one. But, who would have thought Mitch McConnell would be visiting a cannabis business, and not a hemp business, a cannabis business.
He walked into a cannabis business.
He walked in.
He was in a cannabis business where there was cannabis present.
Cannabis president.
In the same area as he.
That's amazing.
It's really a big deal.
And then he says emphatically, it is a different plant. We're talking about something completely different.
Soon all that's going to come down in his mind.
Okay, wait. It says now.
Poor thing.
Now, okay, so also had private meetings with marijuana, hemp, and CBD stakeholders. So he is talking to all those folks that want to put their money somewhere. And the CBD industry is under just as much pressure by, credit card fulfillment agencies and banks. They shut them down too. If it says CBD on it, that's why they got to make sure it's from, it's advertised from hemp. We got a story in the Afterburn this week about a guy who he was smoking hemp. He got from somebody under 0.3 THC hemp. And they arrested him, and he got his charges dropped because it says it's hemp. It's not cannabis. So CBD wants their money to be safe. They want to be able to, the CBD companies not to get shut down when they're from credit card processors that are freaking out. So the Safe Banking Act is come on. Who would have thought Mitch McConnell is coming out to California? First of all, he's probably been coming for the last 6 months. He's slow. The turtle. So, but here he is in California visiting a mystery cannabis company. And who do you bet? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it was? Southern California.
MedMen. It's got to be.
It's got to be MedMen, right? Mm-hmm. South Park, of course, this week hit MedMen again.
It's got to be MedMen.
And I play the tape, but I know Viacom will.
No, forget it.
They already pounced on the video I put in my private stock.
Forget it.
And blocked it, so I'm not going to play it. But Randy swears, because Tally quit. and if you've been following the storyline of Tegrity Farms, Towley quit because brandy sold out to MedMen in China.
Tegrity.
Because Tegrity sold out to MedMen to destroy home grow and also sell to China so that they can bust protesters with weed. So Towley quit, and Randy swears he will no longer team up with MedMen and try to destroy home grow. So that's an update on the South Park Tegrity Farms storyline, which apparently has taken over South Park. Their theme every week is about Tegrity Farms. So
it's a big deal time right now.
It's a big deal time for
cannabis. Thought it was funny that there was Tegrity images in the selfie wall in the Lowell Farms.
I know.
Cafe.
I captured
bathroom.
that. I captured that.
I thought that was funny.
There it is with Towley right there. There he is.
Amazing.
Right above my head. Towley's back, but they're back. They're back together. Towley.
So what else? It's 5:10.
It's 5:10. We're right on time.
5:10. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, let's see. We've talked about Mitch.
Yeah.
We could talk a little. We talked briefly about MedMen showing up on South Park. I think
it's important for us to send Mitch nice notes next week. That he's keeping an open mind, and it'd be great if he would just deschedule cannabis. It'll be fine.
Union. There's a union story this week.
Yep.
Cannabis, UFCW, my old union. Mm-hmm. I am a proud member of I guess what's that called when you're on, when you pull out?
Withdrawal,
that's it. Or whatever it is when you, or not, you pull out. Sorry.
The article basically says that the emerging cannabis industry is an excellent opportunity for trade unions to come back into relevance in the U.S. And I think that's a good idea. Absolutely. I think that I know that Prop 64 required cannabis businesses with more than 20 people to sign a union contract. I'm not really sure how that's going. Judging from this article, it sounded like it wasn't going really great. It sounded like there were only like 10 union shops in Los Angeles. And I think there's 175 permitted shops in LA.
Less than Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Less than Tulsa,
but that's correct.
But really, I'd say most of them have more than 20 employees, so that there's only 10 union shops seems to me that they're a little behind.
Well,
so I'm not really sure what's going on there.
We were in one of those. Have a Heart is a union shop, right?
Yes, and our local dispensary, Cornerstone is a union shop.
And that would be the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. UFCW is organizing the shops. So I think that's absolutely Val. We've got a new opportunity for, in many ways, to shape this industry. Maybe the first time ever to be able to shape an industry of this size that is such a disruptors of so many other industries, and just the potential of this plant from big pharma all the way down to the farmer's market, if we can pull it off, and for labor and for unionized labor in a very profitable, one would hope, but this vaping scare has taken a little toll on cannabis stocks, which are volatile anyway. So I think anybody that's freaking out about their cannabis, MedMen might be freaking out a little about their cannabis stock being it is crashing.
My acupuncturist was freaking out.
And
what's going on?
Their CFO has left, as well as because basically the biggest deal ever in cannabis went up in smoke, if you will. For whatever reason. But they were hiring. They were hiring at the job fair that we were at recently. So I think that's the thing. It's, this weed is very resilient. And just a quick update. We've been following your recommendations on how to deal with our powdery mildew situation with our weather change, which has completely gone the other direction. It was 8% humidity in the tent 2 days ago. 8%. But we got that bicarbonate stuff thing, a little bit of it, followed the directions, sprayed, and I think I killed one plant, but the other ones are...
Oh, you think that's what killed it? That makes sense.
Maybe not. It was struggling with some other issues too. I think maybe it, I don't know. But the other ones seem to be reacting well to... Now, what is the ramifications for when I want to harvest these? I mean, I don't know.
You gotta wash
You
it
gotta
off.
flush them, of course. And
flush 'em.
do you rinse them, I guess? Because I've been, spraying the whole thing. It says spray the buds and the leaves.
Well,
so, did I fuck it up?
I think now that you're close to harvest, you probably need to stop.
Well, some of them are, yeah. But I was just trying to, because there's just a little bit left here and there, and so I'm in retreating. But for the most part, it looks like it's definitely working. Plus, I'm sure the lack of humidity in the air is helping as well. But this is literally an experiment for us, and under the dark of night, and hiding in legal California, where it's not really legal to grow cannabis in your backyard. If anybody protests at all.
Yeah, you guys should know this because there's a few new folks in the chat and a couple new people watching.
It's still a revolution.
Completely legal California, if anybody has an objection to you growing plants in your patio and your yard, you can't grow plants. 80%,
That's in the law.
80% of legal
locally.
California is not allowed to have any cannabis business in it. And
delivery.
in municipalities, not our municipality, but in a neighboring municipality in Glendale, it is not allowed at all. At all. So we're in Los Angeles where it's technically allowed, but the fact of the matter is, if your landlord doesn't want it, you're not allowed to grow.
If they can see it,
Bullshit.
smell it, hear it growing, you can't have it. 420 Fred said, no spray in flower ever.
Yeah.
But those little, it looks like those little mildewy things are like all the way down, like near the flower. So
Now what do we do?
I don't know.
Now what do we do,
Start
420 Fred? Should we just wash the whole thing and make it food and not smoke it? Is that what's going on?
Wash it, grind it up in the food processor.
Yeah, we can just make it food. I'm okay with that.
Oh God, it ain't as easy as it looks. I actually found a new video about powdery mildew and what to do, and it's like the guy starts off by saying, "Yeah, you think you're just going to start growing stuff and everything's going to be great, and then the seasons change on you, and all of a sudden you got this stuff." So it's like, and it's like, oh, we'll just let the cancer patients take care of their own plants. Sure, we're reasonably intelligent people, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just maybe it is easy, and we haven't learned the right way to do it. So we will continue to try. We've gotten some seeds from somebody, so maybe we'll try another round. But
Yeah, why not?
we'll
We
see.
have a tent.
Yeah.
But we're going out of town for like the whole month.
Well,
of
see,
December.
there's the thing. And then they'll bake, they'll fry, they'll be too humid, the rains will come.
Forget it. Let's just wait until February and then start again.
Wait till
then.
spring. Do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool, babe. Well, what's next in the stories?
Well, gosh, we talked a little bit about Tulsi. There's a couple of good science stories this week. Did you notice about chronic pain?
Yes.
Weed the People's in the news again.
And
If
Zelda.
you haven't seen Weed the People,
Yeah. And also the
you should
research
definitely
about.
see it.
I like the interesting research about how cannabis is competition for alcohol and not tobacco, which could also remind everybody why it's not coming online faster, because these interests have big lobby groups. So it's important that you call your legislators regularly, and not just once, and not just one of them. You got to call all of your elected officials, everyone who's elected in your election times, like even judges. Judges have to be elected in Los Angeles,
Which is
in California, and some of them. So send notes to all these people. Send notes. Call. Write emails. But do it because, man, public pressure works. It really does. It works more than the lobby groups. If you can let your voice be heard with your elected representatives, do it.
Well, it certainly seemed to be public pressure from mostly these organizations, and of course, people calling. They seemed a little bit flooded with calls when we called.
They were flooded.
Whenever we called, they were flooded. We can't take notes, just yes or no. What are you for or against? But public pressure, I think, definitely. Because if he was right up to the end there to sign that bill, literally the night before it expired, like 12 hours, And so, what was the hesitancy? Why he had promised to sign it? What was the hesitancy? Who was he being lobbied by corporate cannabis not to sign this bill? I don't understand why that would be the case. But considering he did campaign on it, Thank you, Governor Newsom, for signing SB 34, and let's get the feds to deschedule somehow. We've got the momentum. We've got the momentum in Congress. We really do. If our nose is under the tent in the Senate with hemp, CBD is the gateway drug. For those of you, it's not marijuana. It's not cannabis. It's the CBD is the gateway drug, and hemp. So this has gotten the interest of the Senate, along with the banking, and I'm sure there's a lot of pressure. So that's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. And will it be, yes, it's going to mean that corporate cannabis and the bankers are going to get the money. They're still going to lock people up, which is why we need to deschedule and continue the decriminalization, expungement. Another comment made on one of the Bernie videos that Bernie said he's going to expunge all the records, as many of them are saying, or they should be expunged. It's not as easy as you think. You can't, they could just flip a switch, I suppose, but apparently it's not as easy as you think. And there's a couple of stories in the Afterburn this week that talks about that. So no, we need federal descheduling. The states are moving forward without the people, are moving forward without the government and without the medical community, the people on the ground, the patients, the momcologists, the people, using in legal states cannabis for people with dementia in, non-federal funded, units in the facilities, which is happening in California, New York, in Washington State, and in other places that we've reported on here. So we are wrapping up our first hour, guys. We're going to be going into the Afterburn. Yes. Make sure you subscribe, get notifications, hit that like if you so like, and share this broadcast. We do this every Sunday at 4:20 on Sunday, most Sundays. Even when they're on the road, we do check-ins, and we check in from many of the different events and conferences and great spaces like Lowell Cafe. Thanks to Lowell Cafe. Thanks to Space Coyote. That was quite enjoyable. We will see you. Make sure. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
We'll see you in 2 minutes for the Afterburn. So hang on in the chat. You may need to refresh. But if you do like it, hit that thumbs up. And we'll see you in 2 minutes for the Afterburn, where we hotbox the mainstream media and their coverage of marijuana. See you in 2 minutes. Free the plant, free the people.